Proud of the way our guys defended tonight. I thought we did a good job on JMU. They've got a dangerous team with a lot of different guys that can hurt you and make shots. We talked about two big keys coming into the game, defending the three-point line. We did a nice job there, holding them to 4 for 17 from the line, three-point line. And then we talked about rebounding. I think coming into the game, JMU had won all the games where they had enjoyed a rebounding advantage, and they'd lost all the games where they had been out-rebounded. So it was pretty clear to us as a coaching staff and as a team we needed to do a great job on the glass, and I thought it was a good team effort there. We don't usually out-rebound people by double figures, but for us to do that by 14, that was a big difference.
Questions for Coach?
Were you happy with how aggressive you guys were tonight as a whole? Compared to the last two games?
It was better. It was better. I mean, we still got a ways to go with it, but I think we did better. Briante gave us some good energy in the press early. JMU has really good guards. I mean, those guys are savvy players. They've been around. They're not just going to cough up the ball. But I did think that the press had a cumulative effect tonight, and our style of play was able to wear them down a little bit. I think they got a little tired.
Coach, can you talk about Graham's performance tonight?
Graham, yeah, he played well. I mean, he's did what he does. He can score. He can put the ball in the basket, and he can get to the foul line. That's what we liked in him when we watched him in the recruiting process, and I think he's getting more and more comfortable out there. We felt like this was a game where he could go attack and rebound and get to the basket. My biggest emphasis with Trey has been just being ready to make the next play. Whether it's being ready to shoot when he catches, or being ready to drive, or on the defensive end, being ready to close out and contest a shot. Sometimes freshmen struggle with that. And, he's a young kid, but he's doing better and better with that, and that's why you see him having the results he's having.
In both halves, it took you a little while to get going, and then huge closing stretches. Would you attribute that to just them wearing down from all the pressure you guys were putting on?
I think that helped, but I think, we've got to do a better job of making sure we start the half just with an urgency to get stops. And I think we did that in the first half. We defended pretty well. We didn't score the ball very well. Second half, they got going and made some baskets early that were inexcusable. So we got to do a better job of limiting those. But, at the same time, if you can keep a team in the 20s for both halves, then, you feel good about that.
Coach, coming off the two losses, can you just talk about the importance of getting this win tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's important, because we lost the last two games, but it's also important because, we want to move up in the league standings. And it was a conference game, and every one of them is going to be critical. And it really doesn't matter what your record is. We got another one in less than 48 hours up at Delaware. But it was a big game for us, just confidence-wise. I think when you have a young team and you lose a couple, it can shake guys' confidence. I think we took a step forward in that regard. We had some very, very tough practices coming into this game, and I think our guys understood coming out of those practices we must move forward and get better, and I thought we took a step tonight.
How much time did you spend on defense in this practice?
Well, the first day after the Drexel game, let's see, today's Thursday, so that was Monday. The whole practice was defense. And how much time was it? Well, it was a long time. And then the second day, it was a great deal of defense as well, probably 75% of the practice. And then yesterday we didn't go quite as long, but we really spent a lot of time on what JMU does. And I thought that carried over well tonight. I thought, our big guys did a good job hedging the ball screens. DJ Haley was very active, and then we mixed in some zone. We thought that would be effective tonight, and it was.
So you're talking to Humpty after the game. Do you have any specific advice for him?
Yeah, I know Humpty a little bit. I used to work at the University of Akron, and that's where he came from. I didn't coach him, but Keith Dambrot, the coach there, is probably my best friend in coaching, so we kind of have a connection there. And I just told him just to keep staying the course, work as hard as he possibly can work on the floor, set a great example for his teammates, and more than anything, really lead his teammates to follow what the coaches ask him to do. He asked me for advice, so that was the advice I gave him. It wasn't any rocket science, but that's what I said.
Your early impressions for Delaware Saturday on the road?
Oh, they're a talented team. They maybe the only team in the conference, probably the only team in the conference I can think of that has 2 of the top 5 players in the league. With Sadler, guard, and Hagens, a big guy. You'd be hard-pressed to say that those guys weren't the top 5 players in the league. Sadler, I think, second in the league in scoring. Hagens is a double-double guy seemingly every night, leads the league in rebounding, and he's in the top 7 or 8 in scoring. So, you start with those guys, and then they've got some terrific players around them. They've done a really good job in recruiting. I think Monte Ross and his staff did a great job bringing in some freshmen that were ready to play. Kid Kyle Anderson really makes shots and is a great compliment to those 2 guys. And then they got some other guys that have been around, Brinkley, McNeil. So it's going to be a challenge for us. And I watched their game last night. They were right there with ODU. In fact, in a lot of ways they had them beat. But then Kent Bazemore had other ideas, and he put ODU on his back and basically won the game by himself. So Delaware is a very dangerous team. We're going to have to go up there and really defend with urgency, rebound the ball well. But we're excited about that challenge. It's a quick turnaround for us.
Talk on the double flagrant foul. Did they tell you why they called something to the score?
Yeah, I think he kind of flailed his arms. I didn't really press it, Tim. I saw what happened. Troy was in a tough spot because the kid kind of had his arms around him, and he was just trying to get out of it. But he did kind of push off and flail his arm, so that's why they called the double T.
And you were really angry with Priotte.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. I look forward to looking at the tape. But when stuff like that happens, Bree has a way of being in the mix. He's a scrappy dude, but he's also a freshman who's young and can be hot-headed at times. So, there's a few things going on out there on the floor, and all of a sudden I looked at Bree, and I think he and Humpty or he and one of their other guys were nose to nose, and that's not a good thing because you know what can happen next. So I just yelled at Bree that. Bree, I love you very much, and we need you in this game, and we can't have you. We can't have you losing your head. That's paraphrasing.
Any more?
Defeated in the Gray Unions. Will you see them again this year?
Yeah, we'll definitely see those. Last year we had the golds, and those weren't a big hit as our third color. With a lot of people. The guys liked them, but we had a lot of negative comments about them. So we'll see how people react to tonight's gray uniforms. I think they look good. Bradford Burgess is always, for the last 2 years, has been on me about wearing his gray shoes. He's got these shoes, they're Jordans, they're called the Cool Grays. I guess those are the neat shoes to wear. And Mike Rhodes is our shoe czar. All right, which means he's in charge of what shoes you can and can't wear, because our first year we had guys coming out there in all kinds of different shoes that just they didn't look like we were a team, because I think Terrence Santillo came out one night and it was all gold shoes, and we just can't have that. So I told Brad when we got the gray uniforms in the off season, I said, you finally get to wear your cool grays, and he had them on, and Trey had them on, and a couple other guys. So you'll definitely see those again.
Anything else for Coach Smart?
Coach, Rob wasn't able to hit a shot again tonight. Can you pinpoint exactly why he had his
Confidence. He's a great player. He's a talented kid. He's just not going out and playing with a clear head right now. I think he's he really, really wants it to go well. And Rob is as good of a kid as we have on our team. But, you know, right now, he's pressing. And I told him yesterday, I said, Rob, we're never going to give up on you. We're always going to support you, be behind you. We're going to work extra with you. He was in here late last night shooting with Coach Christian, watch extra tape. All those things we're always going to do. But at the same time, you can't jump into a guy's body or into a guy's head and make changes. So he's going to break out of the slump. I can guarantee you that. I can't tell you exactly when. I wish I could guarantee you that it's Saturday at 4 o'clock. But he's too good of a player not to. But when you play through frustration, when that's your primary emotion when you're out there on the court, it never goes well for you. Anger, sometimes, yes, you can get mad and then, you know, go after people. But frustration, no. You can't play well through frustration, so you have to be able to let things go. And part of the problem with Rob is he wants it so bad and he wants to please so much that he's struggling to let those things go. But he will. You know, I think it's something as a sophomore, you see a lot of sophomores go through little slumps like this. After they had some success as a freshman, they think that it's going to be easier, but it's not necessarily easier. And Rob's going to be fine.